There are seasons in a life when nothing visible changes, yet everything feels different. You wake in the same bed, walk the same streets, speak to the same people, but beneath the surface of these familiar gestures, something ancient is stirring. Like tectonic plates shifting deep below the ocean floor, the movement is imperceptible from above, yet entire landscapes are being redrawn in the darkness. Carl Jung spent his life mapping these invisible territories. He understood that transformation does not announce itself with trumpets and revelations. It begins in the quiet places, in the gaps between thoughts, in the moments when you catch yourself behaving in ways you cannot quite explain. The unconscious moves first, always. It rearranges the furniture of your inner life, while your conscious mind is occupied elsewhere. And by the time you notice, the room has already changed. If you are reading these words now, in this particular moment of your life, there may be a reason beyond coincidence. You may be standing in the middle of a reconstruction you did not consciously authorize. Your psyche may be dismantling old structures and building new ones, and you are only now beginning to notice the scaffolding. What follows are 7 signs that your inner world is rebuilding itself. Not because you decided it should, but because something deeper than decision has taken over. These are not steps to follow or goals to achieve. They are recognitions, moments of seeing what has already been happening in the shadows of your awareness. Sign 1. For years, perhaps decades, you have been the lead actor in a play you did not write. The script was handed to you early, composed of shoulds and musts, of what good people do and who acceptable humans become. You learned your lines so well, you forgot they were lines at all. You thought the performance was your personality. The exhaustion came slowly at first. A heaviness in the morning that coffee could not touch. A flatness in conversations that used to energize you. A growing sense that you were watching yourself from a distance, observing someone who looked like you going through motions that no longer held meaning. You told yourself everyone feels this way. You told yourself it would pass. But it did not pass. Instead, something stranger happened. You began forgetting your lines mid-scene. A colleague asked your opinion, and instead of delivering the expected response, you paused. The pause stretched longer than was comfortable. They waited. You searched for the familiar words and found only silence. Not the silence of not knowing what to say, but the silence of no longer wanting to say what you do not mean. Jung called this the dissolution of the persona. The persona is the mask we wear to navigate social reality, and it serves an important function. But when we mistake the mask for the face, when we forget there is a living being beneath the performance, we begin to die in small ways. The psyche will not tolerate this forever. Eventually, it stages a quiet rebellion. A man I knew named Thomas worked in corporate law for 15 years. He was excellent at it, the kind of excellence that earns promotions and respect, and a reputation for reliability. At dinner parties, he told the right stories. In meetings, he projected the right confidence. He had perfected the performance of being Thomas, the successful attorney. Then one afternoon, sitting in a conference room during a particularly important negotiation, Thomas realized he had not heard a single word spoken in the last 10 minutes. His body was present, his face arranged in an expression of thoughtful attention, but he was completely absent. And in that absence, he felt something he had not felt in years. Relief. Relief at not having to be there. Relief at the possibility of simply not pretending anymore. He did not quit that day, or even that year. But something fundamental had shifted. He began noticing all the tiny performances, the calibrated responses, the careful management of how he appeared. And once he saw them, he could not unsee them. The scaffolding of his constructed self became visible, and with visibility came choice. When you stop performing your own life, it does not mean you become rude or careless or socially inept. It means you begin distinguishing between what is genuinely you and what is costume. You still engage with the world, still navigate social contexts, but you do so from a place of presence rather than performance. The difference is subtle but profound. People sense it even if they cannot name it. You become more real in their presence, and that realness invites their own. If you have recently found yourself unable to maintain performances that once felt effortless, if you catch yourself pausing before automatic responses, if you feel a growing resistance to saying what is expected rather than what is true, this is not a crisis of character. This is the first sign. Your inner world is clearing space. The old structures are being gently dismantled to make room for something more authentic to emerge. Sign 2. The unconscious communicates most directly through dreams, and when your inner world is rebuilding itself, the dreams change. They become more vivid, more insistent, harder to dismiss upon waking. You may have spent years barely remembering your dreams or dismissing them as random neural noise, but suddenly they arrive with weight and texture and a persistence that follows you into your waking hours. These are not the anxiety dreams of everyday stress, the ones where you are late for an exam or naked in public or unable to dial a phone number. These dreams have a different quality. They feel ancient, mythological, as if you have stumbled into a story much larger than your personal life. Animals speak. The dead appear with messages. You find yourself in landscapes that do not exist in waking geography, but feel more real than any place you have been. Jung devoted enormous attention to dreams because he understood them as the unconscious mind's primary method of communication with the conscious ego. When the ego is not listening during waking hours, when it is too busy maintaining the persona or managing external demands, the unconscious waits for sleep. And in sleep, it sends images, symbols, narratives that bypass the rational mind's defenses. A woman named Elena told me about a recurring dream she had during a period of profound inner transition. In the dream, she was walking through her childhood home, but the rooms were wrong. Doors opened into spaces that should not exist. Staircases led to ceilings. And in the center of the house, where the living room should have been, there was a vast library she had never seen before. The books had no titles, but she knew she was meant to read them. She would wake from this dream with her heart racing, not from fear, but from a strange exhilaration. She knew the dream meant something, though she could not articulate what. Months later, in conversation with a Jungian analyst, she realized the house was her psyche. The wrong rooms were old structures of understanding that no longer fit. And the library was the accumulated wisdom of her unconscious, waiting to be discovered. Within a year, Elena had left a marriage that had been quietly suffocating her for a decade. She did not leave in anger or drama. She left because the dream had shown her there were entire rooms of herself she had never entered, and she could no longer pretend they did not exist. When your dreams begin speaking a new language, pay attention not just to the content, but to the feeling they leave behind. Do they leave you unsettled in a way that demands attention? Do they present symbols or scenarios that your rational mind cannot easily dismiss? Do they return night after night with variations on a theme? The unconscious is not trying to confuse you. It is trying to show you what your waking mind refuses to see. It is mapping the reconstruction happening in the depths. And the more you attend to these dream messages, the more fluent you become in the language of your own becoming. If your dreams have intensified recently, if you find yourself remembering them more clearly, if they carry a weight that ordinary dreams do not, this is the second sign. Your unconscious is no longer whispering. It is speaking clearly, showing you the blueprints of the new structure being built within you. Sign 3. There comes a point in the reconstruction of the inner world when you develop an almost painful sensitivity to anything false. Conversations that once seemed normal now feel like listening to actors read from a script. Social situations that used to be tolerable become suffocating. You can sense inauthenticity at 100 paces, and your body rejects it before your mind can rationalize staying. This is not about becoming judgmental or superior. It is about your psyche developing a more refined filtration system. As you shed your own performances, you become acutely aware of everyone else's. Not because you want to, but because you cannot help it. The contrast between authentic presence and social performance becomes stark, and your nervous system responds accordingly. Jung understood this as a natural consequence of individuation. As you become more yourself, more integrated, you develop what he called psychological hygiene. You can no longer tolerate environments or relationships that require you to fragment yourself. Your system has learned what wholeness feels like, and anything less triggers an automatic rejection response. I watched this happen to a friend named Marcus, who had spent most of his life as a chameleon, adapting seamlessly to whatever social context he entered. He was beloved for this ability, the friend who could fit anywhere, talk to anyone, make everyone comfortable. But during a period of intense inner work, something shifted. He attended a party, the kind he had attended hundreds of times before, full of light conversation and performative charm. But this time, within minutes of arriving, his chest tightened. His skin felt wrong. Every word spoken around him sounded hollow, including his own. He lasted 20 minutes before he quietly left, walking home in the dark, breathing deeply, feeling like he had just escaped something dangerous. He told me later he felt like he had developed an allergy to pretending, not just his own pretending, but being in the presence of it. He could no longer participate in conversations designed to avoid any real contact. He could no longer smile through interactions that left everyone safely hidden behind their personas. His tolerance for the superficial had simply evaporated. This sensitivity can be disorienting. It may feel antisocial or harsh. You may worry you are becoming difficult or losing your ability to navigate normal human interaction. But what is actually happening is far more important. You are developing discernment. You are learning to distinguish between connection and performance, between genuine exchange and social ritual. The difficulty is that most of human interaction operates at the level of persona. Most conversations are not designed for depth, but for maintenance of social comfort. And as your inner world rebuilds itself around authenticity, these maintenance interactions become increasingly intolerable. Not because you are better than them, but because you have changed frequency. When you become unbearably sensitive to inauthenticity, you will naturally begin withdrawing from certain contexts. Some people will interpret this as you becoming cold or distant. Let them. You are not responsible for maintaining connections that require you to abandon yourself. You are responsible for honoring the reconstruction happening within you. If you have noticed a growing intolerance for small talk, if you find yourself physically uncomfortable in situations that used to be fine, if you can instantly sense when someone is performing rather than present. This is the third sign. Your inner architecture is establishing new standards. What once had a place in your life no longer fits the structure being built. Sign 4. One of the strangest signs of inner reconstruction is a fundamental shift in how you experience time. Not your schedule or your calendar, but your phenomenological relationship to the passage of moments. Time stops feeling linear. Hours can pass like minutes when you are engaged in something aligned with your emerging self. Minutes can stretch into eternities when you are trapped in contexts that no longer fit. Jung observed that the unconscious does not operate in linear time. It moves in cycles, spirals, synchronicities. Past, present, and future collapse into a kind of eternal now, where everything is happening simultaneously. And as you integrate more of the unconscious into consciousness, as the barrier between them becomes more permeable, your experience of time shifts accordingly. You may find yourself experiencing strange moments of déjà vu, not the brief flicker of familiarity, but extended periods where you feel certain you have lived this moment before. Or you may have vivid memories of futures that have not yet happened, premonitions that feel more like remembering than predicting. The boundary between what was, what is, and what will be becomes less distinct. A writer named Adrienne described to me a period where she would sit down to work on her novel and enter a state she could only describe as timeless. She would begin writing in what felt like morning light, and when she finally looked up, evening had arrived. But it did not feel like hours had passed. It felt like she had slipped outside of time entirely, into a space where the work unfolded at its own pace, unconstrained by clocks. Conversely, she found that interactions misaligned with her emerging self had the opposite effect. A 30-minute phone call with a family member felt like it lasted hours. Sitting in a meeting that no longer served her purpose made every minute crawl. Time became elastic, responsive to the quality of her engagement rather than the quantity of minutes elapsed. This shift in temporal experience is not imagination or distortion. It reflects a genuine change in consciousness. When you are aligned with your authentic self, when you are engaged in activities that resonate with your soul's purpose, your brain enters states neuroscientists call flow. In flow states, the brain's timekeeping mechanisms quiet. You lose track of hours because you have entered a mode of being where linear time is irrelevant. The opposite is also true. When you are misaligned, when you are performing roles that no longer fit, your awareness of time becomes hyperacute. Every second is counted because every second feels like an endurance. Your psyche is measuring how long you can tolerate being out of alignment, and the measurement feels excruciating. This temporal sensitivity becomes a powerful guidance system. You begin organizing your life not around what you should do or what makes logical sense, but around what makes time disappear and what makes it drag. This is not hedonism or avoidance. It is listening to the deep intelligence of your reconstructing psyche. If you have noticed time behaving strangely, if certain activities make hours vanish while others make minutes stretch unbearably, if you experience moments of profound timelessness or uncanny temporal awareness, this is the fourth sign. Your consciousness is expanding beyond linear constraints. The new structure being built within you operates on different temporal principles. Sign 5. Perhaps the most significant sign of inner reconstruction is when you develop a new relationship with the parts of yourself you have spent a lifetime hiding. Jung called this the shadow, the repository of everything we have deemed unacceptable about ourselves and banished from conscious awareness. Rage, selfishness, cruelty, desire, all the qualities that do not fit our idealized self-image, get pushed into the shadow. For most of your life, you have probably feared this darkness. You have kept it locked away, terrified of what would happen if it ever emerged. You have been vigilant, making sure your anger never shows, your selfishness never surfaces, your darker impulses never see daylight. This vigilance is exhausting, and it fractures you. You cannot be whole while actively rejecting parts of yourself. But during the reconstruction of the inner world, something remarkable happens. You begin to approach your shadow, not with fear, but with curiosity. You stop running from your darker impulses and start examining them, not to indulge them recklessly, but to understand them, to integrate them, to recognize that these rejected parts contain tremendous energy and wisdom. A therapist named Victor told me about his own shadow integration. He had built an identity around being kind, patient, endlessly understanding. He was the person everyone came to with their problems, the one who never got angry, never judged, never refused to help. But beneath this saintly persona, there was a rage he had never acknowledged. During a particularly intensive period of Jungian analysis, that rage began to surface. Not in destructive outbursts, but in dreams, in body sensations, in sudden flashes of brutal honesty that shocked him. At first he was terrified. He thought he was becoming someone terrible. But his analyst helped him see that this rage was not new. It had been there all along, burning in the basement, fueling his exhaustion and his resentment. As Victor began to acknowledge this rage, to give it space, to understand its origins and its messages, something unexpected happened. He did not become an angry person. He became a more genuine person. The false kindness, the compulsive helping that masked his true feelings, began to fall away. And underneath, a more authentic compassion emerged, one that could say no, one that had boundaries, one that came from choice rather than compulsion. The shadow does not want to destroy you. It wants to be integrated. Every quality you have rejected contains a gift. Your rage may hold your capacity for healthy boundaries. Your selfishness may contain your ability to honor your own needs. Your cruelty may house your discernment about who deserves your energy. These are not qualities to eliminate, but to understand and channel. When you stop fearing your own darkness, you become dangerous in the best possible way. Not dangerous to others, but dangerous to the systems and relationships that require you to remain small and fragmented. You become whole, and wholeness is powerful. It cannot be manipulated or controlled because it knows itself too well. If you have recently found yourself less horrified by your darker thoughts, if you can acknowledge your capacity for anger or selfishness without collapsing into shame, if you feel curious rather than terrified about the rejected parts of yourself, this is the fifth sign. The reconstruction happening within you includes the shadow. The new structure has room for all of you, not just the acceptable parts. Sign 6. As the inner world rebuilds itself, you will grieve. This grief arrives without warning, often in moments of supposed happiness. You will be driving on a beautiful day, and suddenly tears will come. You will be laughing with friends and feel a wave of inexplicable sadness. You will accomplish something you worked toward for years and feel, instead of triumph, a deep mourning. This is not depression, though it may be confused for it. This is the grief of shedding skins. Every version of yourself you release, even the ones that were suffocating you, requires mourning, You are not just becoming someone new, you are actively losing someone you were. And loss, even necessary loss, even chosen loss, hurts. Jung understood that individuation is not a process of constant growth and expansion. It involves death and rebirth, again and again. Every time you integrate a new aspect of yourself, an old aspect must die. Every time you step into a truer version of yourself, you must say goodbye to the familiar one. And your psyche needs to mark these deaths, to honor what is being left behind. A woman named Sophia came to see me during a period when everything in her life was improving. She had finally left a toxic relationship, found work she loved, reconnected with her creativity. By all external measures, she should have been happy. But instead, she was crying every day. She felt guilty about this, like she was being ungrateful for her good fortune. But when we explored it more deeply, she realized she was mourning the version of herself who had tolerated the toxic relationship. The woman who had made herself small, who had prioritized peace over truth, who had believed she did not deserve better. Sophia was not crying because she missed that version. She was crying because that version had died. And even though its death was necessary, it still deserved to be grieved. These unexpected moments of grief are sacred. They mark transitions that your rational mind may not fully comprehend, but your soul knows are momentous. When you feel sadness wash over you for no apparent reason, resist the urge to push it away or fix it. Let it move through you. It is clearing space. It is honoring what was. It is making the reconstruction real. The grief may take many forms. Sadness for time you feel you wasted. Mourning for relationships that could not survive your transformation. Sorrow for the younger versions of yourself who suffered unnecessarily. Regret for opportunities you missed while you were still asleep to yourself. All of this is valid. All of it deserves space. If you have experienced waves of unexpected grief during a period when your life is ostensibly improving, if you find yourself crying over losses you thought you had accepted, if sadness appears without clear cause and leaves you feeling strangely cleansed, this is the sixth sign. Your psyche is conducting funeral rites for old selves. The new structure cannot be fully inhabited until the old one is properly mourned. The final sign of inner reconstruction is perhaps the most paradoxical. You feel utterly lost and profoundly found at the same time. You have no idea where you are going, yet you feel more on track than ever. You cannot articulate what you are becoming, yet you know with absolute certainty that you are becoming it. You are in the most uncertain period of your life, and the most certain you have ever been that you are exactly where you need to be. This paradox is the hallmark of genuine transformation. Jung called it holding the tension of opposites. The ego wants certainty, wants clear direction, wants to know the plan. But the self, the deeper organizing principle of the psyche, operates in mystery. It knows the direction without needing a map. It trusts the process without needing guarantees. When your inner world is rebuilding itself, you exist in this liminal space. The old structures have been dismantled, but the new ones are not yet complete. You are neither who you were nor who you will be. You are in between, and in between is where all real transformation happens. It is uncomfortable, it is disorienting, and it is absolutely necessary. A man named Benjamin described this state perfectly. He had left a successful career that no longer aligned with his emerging values. He had ended relationships that required him to perform versions of himself he no longer believed in. He had let go of certainties that once defined him, and he found himself, at age 42, with no clear path forward. His friends and family were worried. They asked what his plan was, what he would do next, how he would support himself. And Benjamin realized he had no answers that would satisfy them. He did not have a plan. He did not know what came next. But he also knew, with a clarity that transcended logic, that he was on the right path. He was lost in all the ways the world measures direction, and found in all the ways that matter to the soul. This simultaneous lostness and foundness cannot be explained to people who have not experienced it. To the external world, you may appear to be having a crisis. To yourself, you are having a clarification. The markers that guide others, job titles, relationship status, clear goals, no longer orient you. Instead, you are learning to navigate by internal compass, by what feels true rather than what looks right. The challenge is tolerating the not knowing without collapsing back into old certainties just to ease the anxiety. The ego will beg you to return to what is familiar, to choose a clear path, even if it is the wrong path, just to escape the ambiguity. But the self asks you to stay in the space between, to trust what is being built even though you cannot yet see the finished structure. If you feel lost and found, uncertain and certain, confused about the future, and clear about the present, this is the seventh sign. You are living in the sacred space of reconstruction. The old has been cleared away. The new is emerging. And you are exactly where the deepest part of you has been trying to bring you all along. The 7 signs don't appear in order. They don't complete themselves neatly. They overlap, recur, intensify, and soften in waves. This is not a linear process, but a spiral, each turn bringing you deeper into yourself, while simultaneously expanding your capacity. If you recognize these signs in your own life, know that you are not falling apart. You are being rebuilt. The unconscious has taken over the project of your becoming, and it is far wiser than your conscious efforts ever were. Trust the reconstruction. Trust the grief and the confusion and the unexpected sensitivities. Trust that something in you knows exactly what it is doing, even when you do not. This is not the end of difficulty. It is the beginning of living from truth. And truth, while not always comfortable, is the only foundation worth building on. Your inner world is becoming a structure that can hold the fullness of who you actually are. That is the architecture of becoming. That is the silent work happening beneath everything else. And if you are in it, you are exactly where you need to be.